Today we will talk about equipment in Path of Exile 2. This is Instinctum, and this video is part of the Path of Exile 2 series. The video is aimed at beginners who have never played Path of Exile before. We will be talking about basic items in PoE 2 and their characteristics. Enjoy the video. Please note, at the time of recording, Path of Exile 2 has not yet been released. Therefore, the visuals in this video are mostly from Path of Exile 1. This is not a problem, as the principles and fundamentals are practically the same in both versions. Any differences that may exist will be minimal and will not impact your understanding of the topic. Almost every item in Path of Exile has two types of modifiers. Local modifiers are the intrinsic properties of the item, such as armor or energy shield on body armor. For weapons, these are the damage numbers, critical hit chance, attack speed, and so on. These white numbers represent the local modifiers of the item. The second type of modifier is global. These are all other modifiers. Global modifiers include things like affixes, which are the blue text at the bottom. They are divided into two types, suffixes and prefixes. An item can have a maximum of 3 suffixes and 3 prefixes. What's the difference between suffixes and prefixes? It's simple. They represent a set of bonuses. Here are some examples of suffixes and prefixes that can appear on random armor. Each affix in PoE has 13 levels. These levels differ by the range of numbers. For example, a modifier for maximum health at level 1 might give between 1 and 15 health, while at level 13 it might give between 100 and 130 health. I pulled these numbers from my head, but I think you understand the idea. The higher the level of the affix, the better the bonus it provides. Next, we will divide equipment into two principles, item rarity and item base. Common white items only have local modifiers. Magical or blue items have local modifiers plus affixes. A blue item can have at most 2 affixes, 1 suffix and 1 prefix. Rare or yellow items are the same as magical items, but they can have from 3 to 6 affixes. Unique items, or uniques, are items with unique affixes and their color is orange. The second principle of dividing items is the base of the item. I'm not quite sure how to explain this, so let's try to show it visually. Take a look at my inventory. Here I have several types of armor, and they all look different. They're all armor, but what distinguishes them? The local modifiers. In some cases, there are unique properties or implicit modifiers. Implicit modifiers are another type of global modifier. These are unique properties for certain item bases. For example, here's a ring with 2 sockets. Its unique implicit property is resistance to 2 types of elements. Here's an amethyst ring. Its unique implicit property is chaos resistance. Here's a diamond ring. Its unique implicit property is increased critical strike chance. If we simplify it, implicit modifiers are these blue modifiers above the dash. They apply to certain item bases, and most manipulations that alter affixes do not change their function. So, what have we understood from everything I've said so far? At the very least, we've understood that the passive skill tree isn't as scary as it seems. But don't worry, we'll manage. You might think, in the end, everyone will just wear unique items. What's the difference between yellow, blue, and white items, affixes, and all that? But that's not the case. Don't forget your past experiences playing Diablo or whatever you played before. Everything here works a little differently. In the most powerful versions of most builds, you will predominantly use rare yellow items. Unique items in PoE are usually good for leveling, or perhaps some are useful early in the game when you are just starting to build your character, and you can't craft yet. At that point, you use unique items to cover some basic needed stats, or maybe to add some damage because uniques always give the same bonuses. But in the endgame, the strongest items are rare yellow items with excellent modifiers. These are often very expensive and need to be crafted, so people wear them later on. This doesn't mean all unique items are useless. That's absolutely not true. There are many valuable and good uniques. Some builds even rely on specific uniques that are not very expensive but are essential for the build to work. Without them, the build won't function. But to understand which items are valuable and useful, you'll need experience with the game. As you play, you will figure it out. And this leads us to a key question. Does an item empower us or weaken us? There are no simple green arrows. For example, you can use the tooltip to hover over your spells or attacks before and after switching items. Did it increase? Nice. Did it decrease? Not good. Did it stay the same? Well, then nothing changed. There's no simple answer to this question. Unfortunately, PoE is not about green arrows. Here, you're not just a link between the chair and the monitor. The developers didn't design the game with the idea that you're some low-intelligence player, right? If you want an analogy, your character in PoE is like an airplane with a cockpit full of switches, levers, and information displays. When you look at it, you might wonder, what is all this? But you can't just be a passenger who is escorted by a flight attendant and fed along the way. You must be the pilot, someone who knows how to use all these levers and switches. Why is this important? It's about knowing how to read the instruments and control the entire process. And I promise you, it's this ability to manage everything, to adjust things to your needs, to make it all work, that makes the game fun. It's when you know everything is under control that you enjoy it. If the game's idea was just about killing monsters and picking up loot from the floor, it would never have become legendary. That's it for equipment in Path of Exile. I'd like to add a late disclaimer. Everything I've mentioned so far is just the basic foundation of PoE. There are many layers to these basic mechanics, and they can completely alter the game, create exceptions, and complicate things. All of this is learned over time as you dive deeper into the game. So, it won't be easy, but I've given you the basic information to get started. With this, you'll be able to interact with people who understand more and ask specific questions. That's all from me. This was Instinctum. I wish you happiness, good health, and a great mood. See you in the game.